Welcome to another edition of our StaySmart Newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing, where we try to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. The first article that we have this week is from CHPA. Their annual conference was last month in sunny San Diego, and they announced the 2025 Tower of Excellence Award winners, recognizing excellence in corporate housing. So take a look at all the award winners for the CHPA, and congratulations to all the winners. And then our second article is about the apartment industry, apartment rents. It looks like we've seen a lot of declining rents over the last year and a half, and we're kind of seeing that come to an end. We saw in February just a slight rent increase month over month, and we're starting to see, it looks like, the end of that. It's very regional still. This article talks about particular like Denver and Austin and Phoenix. They're probably still going to see some rent declines, but then other markets in the Midwest and the Northeast didn't see any rent decreases. They've continued with rent increases. But in general, the whole market is starting to see rent increases as demand catches up with supply. There was a record level of new inventory brought into the market last year. It's been filling up, and now as there's less construction, less new inventory coming online, we're seeing demand catch up. So we're going to see rent increases continue to go up, and probably by the end of this year, early next year, get back to normal levels of about 3% year-over-year rent increases. And then the next article is about short-term rental regulations. In Dallas, actually a court of appeals overturned those regulations. The judge ruled that they would be irreparable harm done to the property owners with these regulations, these short-term rental regulations. So this is really interesting because this is the first time that we've seen, at least here in the US, the first time we've seen these regulations be overturned. And as other markets in Texas like Austin and Fort Worth and Houston were looking at implementing short-term rental bans, it'll be interesting to see if these stick in place. These changes, these regulations, are less appetite for regulations in the short-term rental space. And then the next article from that, we have Mint House announcing that they were acquiring Locale. So both of these are property tech, furnished accommodation companies. Mint House has acquired Locale. They're going to combine the two companies and operate as Mint House. This now gives them 22 markets throughout the U.S. 22 properties throughout the U.S., 13 locations. So it'll be interesting to see that combined company moving forward. And then finally, we have an article that kind of wraps all this together, I think, because it talks about the advantages of furnished accommodations in the lodging industry, and it interviews several of the people, this article, from Marriott to Reside to Mint House that we just talked about. But it talks about Marriott, their partnership with Sonder, and then they're rolling out the Apartments by Marriott, kind of the service apartments accommodation that they've done internationally. Here in the US, we're going to see a couple of developments here later this year. So they interview Marriott, kind of talking about that. They also interview Lee Curtis, Reside, talking about their residents at Reside and their partnership with Wyndham, and then interview with Mint House. So really interesting article as we kind of see the advantages. Corporate housing operators, I understand the advantages of this, but it's interesting to see kind of the overall lodging industry in the US really recognizing those advantages. So those are the things that we see happening this week. If there's anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. But otherwise, that's what I see transitioning this week. Take care, everyone.